Hello there and welcome to the channel, and this is another installment of our special walk around with Andrew Lawson at the Isles of Scilly Tresco Abbey garden. Hopefully watch it and stay tuned for more episodes, because we're going to do a number of these, because it was a long day of filming. There's a lot of footage and we want to break it down into bite-sized pieces. Anyway, see you on the...
Stay tuned.
Oh yes indeed.
And that's not the idea. You've got your shady bits, but actually what you want really is to have more sunlight and more open areas further up. And the views out, of course, as well, so you can see the sea from the top terrace. So this area is only from '96.
Okay.
So it's called the Mediterranean Garden.
Yeah.
It was a competition area through Home and Garden magazine. After we had the snow and the gales, this got damaged quite badly. And it wasn't terraced as it is now.
Yeah.
So it used to have a few more olives in it, but we're trying to be bio-friendly, so when things get damaged by scale insect and that sort of thing, you're trying to not use the chemicals to kill the scale. If it gets to such a bad state, then you take things out and then you start again. So
have you got any pests? I mean, squirrels, are they a problem here?
They're a pest as far as I'm concerned, not as far as anybody else is concerned.
No, but
but people love to see them, and they're so tame because they have no predators. They're only introduced in 2014. Not my idea, but between the owner and I think Prince Charles, they decided that they were going to introduce them here, and it's a great spot for them because there's no greys, there's no predators. Great spot for them. Yeah.
So there's no cats here?
There are, but they're not at this end of the island, and they would struggle to catch them, I would have thought as well. So they're pretty quick, but it's birds of prey and stuff like that. Well, in amongst trees, you're not going to get any damage from that.
Yeah.
And there's now hundreds.
Yeah.
We're only introduced 28.
Yeah.
So you get to see them quite a lot, but they do feed off a lot of flowers around the garden.
Yeah.
They love the Banksias, the callistemons, the Proteas.
It's quite a bit damage.
Yeah. So there'll be a little bit less flower, but then you get to see a red squirrel close up. So but I quite like the way this has now got quite a wide landscape to it. So you see the balustrade, you see the granite walls, and then we'll keep the planting low on this middle section.
Yeah. It just feels calmer, doesn't it? It's that sort of little period of
well, a bit of water running as well.
Absolutely.
There's no running water in the garden apart from the pits where you've got pumps. So there's not actually a water system as such.
Because we was wondering, as you come into the entrance, there seems to be like an old sort of waterfall or cascade near where the actual sort of path. We were wondering where there was sort of a few areas where perhaps
going down on the east side below the house.
Like cascade, yes.
So there is certainly. I don't know whether there was actually water running down there at that stage, whether it was just off the roof of the abbey. So when the gutters run on the top of it, then it runs down through.
Okay.
But it's actually base rock granite all the way up through there.
Yeah.
And it has had paths and stuff cut into it in the past, but it's just overgrown now with agapanthus and bits of rhododendron and that sort of thing. They have got also on the west rockery, there's some old pools, but they're not watertight. I don't think they ever were. So when the roof of the abbey was heavy rain, it would run out off the gutters and then come down the wall and go into a pool at the bottom, and then it would be pumped up and then running round. And we've just never felt the need to redo that. We've got these two that went in. This is by Tom Leeper, the agave fountain, and then the water nymph by Robert's mother-in-law. So and then you see the eucalyptus on the left-hand side. So we've got some on the right as well. There's young ones that are about sort of 25 feet high.
Yeah.
So this is the Tasmanian fig-leaved eucalyptus.
Okay.
That's now called Corymbia ficifolia. They'll be in flower late August, and they could either be orange, pink, red or white. But as only one of them has ever flowered and it was orange, we don't know what the other two are going to flower like yet. They're 11 years old and yet to flower. Though it looks like there's flower bud on the middle one as well now. So I'm hoping we'll have a bit of an orange on one, a pink on another, a red on another, but you just don't know. That's the hazards of growing things from seed.
I was wondering about about obviously the subtropical effect, but where we see it and sort of, you know, in the UK along the south, there's lots of bananas, cannas, heliconias, and
Yeah.
have you deliberately avoided those?
So we got canna and hedychium. I don't.
really?
They won't be growing heliconias. I wouldn't have thought.
We saw the gingers, didn't we? But
Yeah.
we didn't see. I suppose it's our perception, isn't it? Of other
So heliconia is shell ginger. You see that in the
Yeah.
Caribbean,
Yeah.
but I doubt you'd see it unless somebody's got it in their glass house and they're burying the pot. Here we don't do any of that. This is all outside all of the time. So we do gingers and we do cannas. So not masses of them because it can be done quite easily on the mainland.
Yeah, that's what
So-
I thought. Maybe you were trying to be a little bit distinctive. Or
Yeah,
just
no, it's a different range. They quite like to have a bit more wet than we would have as well. I know they will quite happily survive in the dry,
Yeah.
but if you want really good foliage,
Yeah.
you go to Tremonea, for example.
Yeah.
They've got massive banana plants there,
Yeah,
but they don't suffer with the same amount of wind that we do.
yeah.
And bananas having such big leaves get hammered.
Yeah, we haven't been there yet.
They get
so,
absolutely hammered here. So
yes, we wondered as well. They do get shredded, don't they? So
let's go through onto the lawn, give you a different.
they're enormous here, aren't they?
Yeah.
Absolutely stunning.
About 35 years to flower.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a different range all the way through here. This is New Zealand Puriri. So it's Vitex lucens, has pink little trumpet flowers and then it's covered in red berries at the minute. Makes a good standard tree on its own as well, but it's this one growing against the eucalyptus. And there's Hymenospermum in the back there, the Australian frangipani. There's Anopterus, which is the one of the Tasmanian laurels.
Okay.
It's related to Escalonia, but it has little white bell flowers.
You wouldn't recognise that as being related to from.
No. Well, we've got a few trees in the garden that are now in the Primulaceae family, and they're trees in the Primula family, which sounds ridiculous.
Yeah.
And you look at it and you think, how can that be related? Doesn't look anything like it.
Swapping them around, aren't they?
Yeah. I mean, the name changing now is really, it's almost to the stage of ridiculous because, you know, if you've got the range here that has got its names and its families and its country of origin and you learn it all, and then someone like me who's been doing it for a little while, you've then got to change it all and learn a new range.
Yeah.
But you can't delete the old one.
Yeah.
So you've now got twice the amount of information in your head. The wonderful Nickow palms, these are from the Abel Tasman. We saw them down on the edge of the Heafy track going away from Karamea, so the northwest corner of South Island, New Zealand. And you can tell how old this one is, partly because we know that in '87 in the snow every one of them died here, even the ones with 30-foot trunks all gone, and it took 3 years before any seedlings started. But we know that this self-seeded.
Wow.
But this one is, I mean, it was a wonderful thing to find. Seed was starting to come up and we thought we'd lost them and, you know, where we're going to get the next batch from. But then you see these little forked seedlings coming up and you know that those are Nickow seeds. So this is Rhophilostylus sapida. If you want to know how old it is, it's basically 20 years before it has a trunk. Then it does a foot of trunk a year. So this one, 8 feet of trunk, 28 years old. And where you see the scars on the trunk, that's a leaf scar, not an annual ring.
No.
So you get 4 of those a year,
Yeah.
and you don't want to be under it when it drops its leaf.
No.
So where you've got the flower in sort of purple going out the right hand side, that's pushed the flower, the leaf off.
Yeah.
Then you've got the next oldest one with the green seeds, and then the oldest one with the red seeds is ripe now, and the birds will come and feed off that. See, one just landed on it. But it's if you want new plants, you scatter the seeds and you wait another 28 years to get that size. But I've never seen one growing in the UK elsewhere.
No.
You see he's in there eating now, it is. But it's, well, you never know. I mean, no reason to think it won't grow if the climate is changing that much. But you know, you hear subtropical for here, but we're not subtropical. We're what I would refer to as cool temperate. So it's not hot, it's not cold in the winter, but it's not generally anyway.
Oh, yeah, I saw something. The blue leaf or silvery blue leaf palm, I think it was over there.
Yep.
Was that a princeps?
That's Brahea rahmata, the Mexican blue Hesper. So I have.
We don't see these plants. We hear of them. We see pictures. We don't.
Not seen them. I mean, I say they kind of look a bit American. They're so big and so sort of structural, but
You were saying about the ginger lilies. So
yes.
and then Tibucina from Brazil.
Yes, I wondered what that was.
Yeah, so it's Tibucina urbelliana,
Yeah.
sometimes called the Brazilian glory flower.
I really like that.
And then obviously from Central America, tree
Tree
dahlias.
Dahlia
Yes.
imperialis.
We've got it in our garden. It does grow, but it doesn't really flower until right at the end of
Oh,
October, and so just before the frost, really.
It normally flowers when immediately frosted.
Giant honeysuckle. I've
Yeah.
never seen this before.
So it's native of Burma or Myanmar, and it's
I love it.
the biggest flowering honeysuckle.
Yes.
So one called Hildebrandiana. Can be grown right down in the southwest.
Really?
So we've got, somebody certainly got it growing in Mosul, flowering its head off on the front of their house.
Wow.
But here it sets seed as well, and you can see it's transported into here.
Oh.
So it's growing up through here as well.
Oh,
And then growing actually on this one is Tacoma stands. So you see it up on the top here with the yellow flowers, little trumpet
Yes.
flowers.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And this is the national flower of Bermuda. So, but tropical American thing, you wouldn't expect it to be grown here. Of course, as you get warmer climates, you're going to end up with more pests as well.
Yeah.
Bound to.
So what kind of pests do you have issue with here?
Thrips and scale and mealybug,
Okay.
white fly. You know, you're not using pesticides on them, you're trying to use biocontrol,
Yeah.
but that only really works in a glass house.
It does. I was going to say that's very difficult in an open garden, isn't it?
Well, otherwise you end up with a bit of wind coming and then it's all on St Martin's, you know. It's,
Yeah. Yeah.
but
to
it's
do it on
also
this
you're
scale,
ploughing
it's
the
very
money
hard,
in,
isn't
but you're
it?
not actually getting anything out of it.
Do you use like weed killer or sort of things?
We
in-
don't use, we've gone away from like Roundup and that sort of thing.
Yeah,
Uh,
don't use glyphosate now.
We use pelargonic acid,
Okay.
so it's made of pelargoniums,
Yeah.
so it doesn't leave a residue. At least that's what they tell us at the minute.
Is it effective?
Yeah, it is. It's a contact herbicide, but you know, it keeps the path nice and clean.
Yeah.
Fairly dry environment, so a hoe and a rake does quite a lot of good job as well.
Of course.
You're up onto the upper level of the garden, so the amaryllis will come into flower much earlier up here. We also got these wonderful views out with the Norfolk Island pines showing up just next to the Phoenix Palms. It's not a view that you get anywhere else apart from when you go down to Napier seafront in New Zealand or down on Albany seafront, perhaps Madeira.
How you do this great garden.
Well, it's also when you go into a border like this, what are you taking out?
Yes.
So yes, we take out the things that are flowered and finished, or trim them over, but a lot
Yeah.
of it is still garden plants, like the
Yeah.
little yellow button flower,
Yeah.
where it's gone to seed now.
Yeah.
It's still a garden plant. It's called Chrysocoma aurea, and it's a South African native.
Yeah.
You've got Facreas all popping up all over the
Yes.
place here.
Yeah.
So it's because there was a big one there that flowered
Yes.
last year. It drops all its babies,
Yeah.
so all of those bulbils will end up being young ones, which
Yeah.
we don't want 70 new plants here. So you take them all out by a couple.
Yeah.
The aloes going through here, these are mostly arborescens from Cape Province.
Yes.
They'd be in flower Christmas time. And then you've got all of this with the dead heads about 4 or 5 feet high. This is all Senecio glastifolius, which is, it has like a pink and yellow daisy flower
Okay.
for the most part, and it's finished now but going to seed. So we'll come in and pull all those out,
Yeah.
and then next year's plants will be coming up behind.
Yeah.
Does this Aloe arborescens, does that have
Yeah.
viable seed?
Yeah, this one does seed itself, but it's so easy from cuttings.
Yeah.
You know, you don't need a mist unit or anything like that. It's a succulent,
Yeah.
so you lop a great rosette off, stick it in a pot. 3 weeks later, it's all rooted up.
It's so big, isn't it? Like the girth on it. It's just, as you say, that growing season, but it's just.
So that particular aloe is the best one for Scilly.
Yeah. We saw a variegated form around the garden.
That's
There's
it,
one
yeah.
that's got it's gorgeous, isn't it? So I've not seen a variegated one like that.
And then the agaves, you know, in between. There's a couple up in here as well.
Yeah.
Agave ferox.
Yeah.
They can grow up to being about 35 years old, and then when they come into flower, a 30-foot flower spike, but that will actually kill the plant. But they're hardier than the aloes because they've got no liquid in the leaves. It's all just sisal threads going down through. Just don't want them on the edge of a path because they've got some pretty vicious spikes on them. And then the king protea buds.
Of course, these are amazing. I mean, we didn't think, well, we weren't sure that we would see some of these proteas in flower.
So a lot of the proteas are just starting to come into flower again.
Yeah.
So if you look at the top here, you've got Protea neraifolia, the oleander foliage protea.
Yeah.
So that one's been in flower since mid-December. And because it's been times of wet, you know, it has a long dry spell and then you have a bit more wet, it thinks it's a spring, so coming into flower again.
Yeah.
So there's always something. And the king proteas have mostly finished flowering, but this was a late version.
Yeah, because
so-
we were surprised by this, what maybe it's hard to tell, isn't it?
Yeah, so I mean, if you go down to South Africa, then you can go down in October.
Yes,
That would be their spring.
that's what we were thinking, yes.
And this area has really changed in the last 4 years. We've just ripped out what was there and started again.
Okay.
But it shows you how quickly things can get established. And it's very much a South Africa and Australia mixed together. And actually, in fact, you can see the king proteas in flower up into there.
Oh my
See
goodness.
the great big flowers at the
Yeah.
back?
Oh, no. Oh my goodness, sorry, Hannah. Oh my goodness.
So it's the national flower of South Africa.
It's amazing, isn't it?
I'm going to sneak up there later.
Pincushion proteas.
Oh my goodness, they're just there. Just the orangey ones.
And then in amongst it, you've obviously got the agapanthus, but you've also got the ericas as well. So the ericas, like this one, Erica glandulosa, it's would normally be growing in amongst the proteas and the leucospermums as well.
Yeah.
And of course, at the back, you've got the ones with the cones standing up on them.
Yes.
Also Protea family, but from Australia.
Okay.
They're Banksias, so named after Sir Joseph Banks.
Yeah. Wow.
And this is what we were talking about with the views. You know, you don't plant anything in here that's going to get big,
No,
because you want that view going out.
of course.
The Watsonia is just finishing now, but with all the pinks and the oranges of a South African native.
So the tall pink ones, I thought that was...
Pinks and oranges going through here.
Oh, I thought that was not... what did I think
Well,
that was?
because we're not familiar with them, we thought they might be part of the Schizostylis, but
Yeah, they reminded us of that.
Yeah.
We got-
So they look a bit like crocosmias, don't they? But they're, you know, the Monbretias and that sort of thing.
Yeah.
So you've got the orange of Monbretia going through
Yes.
here, which is just a normal weed.
Yeah.
And then you've got these oranges and pinks, and you see a darker one on the side here.
Yeah.
They're the Tresco hybrid Watsonias. So, natives of South Africa growing from a corm, obviously
Yeah.
not planted in the top of the wall,
No.
just where it seeded itself.
They're amazing, aren't they?
But again, if you collect seed off this one,
Yeah.
you won't get necessarily the same colour flower.
No.
It'll be some orange, some pink, some maybe this colour.
Yeah.
But again, no reason to think it couldn't be grown in the south of England. Certainly
Yeah.
seen it growing through Cornwall quite happily. Just needs to dry
Yeah.
and a bit of full sun.
Yeah.
But these are all self-set through here, they weren't planted there.
No.
And then another one of the Banksias up on the top here, the one with the big yellow
look at
cones.
that, wow.
That's Banksia grandis,
Yeah.
the biggest of the flowering Banksias. If you went to Albany via Perth,
Yeah.
you're driving down on that big straight road from Perth, and you get these coming out of the sides of the road at you.
Yeah.
It's actually quite fun to see. That's one of my favourite things, is just to go and see these things growing in the wild, you know. So
Yeah.
you know, you actually go and see the Banksias and go out to the Stirling Range National Park and see the new ones that you haven't come across before.
Yeah.
And then go via Banksia Farm and get hold of the seed and try those in here as well. Going through here, you've got this sort of peaty soil on the top,
Yeah.
and it is just dry peat,
Yeah.
and then granite about sort of 5-6 inches down. So amazing, really, that anything can grow on it.
Absolutely.
But self-set plants like the Erica, you know, this
Yeah.
is one that's just done its own thing here.
Yeah.
This one will be stronger than anything we plant,
Yes.
because it will have a taproot
Because
that goes
yes.
down, so it can always find a bit of moisture
Yeah.
deep down. Erica caffra as well, same
Yeah.
sort of thing.
Well, with bromeliads, we were loving those, kind of sort of going over the walls.
Yeah,
And,
particular area. This one
Yeah.
from Chile, and then there's Okagavia as well. Both pretty hardy.
thriving, don't they?
Yeah, I mean they would be up trees for the particular area if you see them in Chile, but they're terrestrial here.
Yeah.
But they will quite happily sort of make their way up over things. But again, they're pretty old.
are these just moving along through the root system, or are they seeding as well?
No, just by the root system.
Just by the root
It's
system.
possible for them to seed. We have another version of it called Okagavia elegans. That comes from Robinson Crusoe Island, and that one is
What a great name for an island.
So it's out Juan Fernandez archipelago, so out near Easter Island, because you've got the real Robinson Crusoe, Alexander Selkirk. So there's Alexander Selkirk Island as well, and then Robinson Crusoe Island next door. So we grow a few things from there.
So, and this is lichen, is that right? On there?
Yeah,
'Cause we were
lichen,
like,
yeah.
Initially we were like...
So if you do any research on it,
But obviously just got the air quality.
yeah, it's really clean here.
Down here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we have loads of lichen on everything.
Yeah, it's
and-
unusual, isn't it?
It's not supposed to be detrimental to plants,
No.
but I would argue that.
I
Really?
I
When
agree
you've got a
with you.
lot of it,
Yeah.
then it seems to block a plant up and then it ends up going backwards. So this sort of level's no problem.
Yeah, but some is particularly covered, isn't it? And I suppose it's a bit like over on trees, isn't it? If it covers the plant, you can't really tell the health of the plant underneath.
So this is one of our bigger Banksias. This is the Tegropodia, making an archway.
Wow.
You can see how big the trunk was.
Yeah.
This is before 87.
Yes.
So it was a bigger tree at that stage.
Yes.
And then it got cut to the ground and then came away again, and then also came up on the other side of the path. This could be self-set seeds.
Yeah.
So, you know, we just decided to leave it and let it get on with it. Makes quite a nice archway. And one of my favourites of the Ericas, Erica ceranthoides.
Okay.
The red one?
Yeah.
Yep. So this is one of the few Ericas of the South African ones that you can prune right down to the ground and it will come away again. So occasionally when it does struggle with a little bit of scale insect or something like that, you can take all the top off and then away it goes from the stump.
Fabulous.
They've got the wonderful Dazzlerian.
Yes, I wondered if that's
We
what
thought it was that, and then I
we
said
thought
no.
maybe not. We got one at home, and it kind of obviously doesn't look anything like this, but it's kind of
It's
having
pretty
that
old.
debate.
You know, 70 years old.
Yeah.
We have some older ones as well. They form quite a big trunk and then start wandering along the floor.
Yeah.
Down the side of Neptune Steps.
Yeah.
And then more of the King Protea.
Yes.
Just
Oh,
in bud.
wow.
The one behind it finished flowering. The one in front.
Nice, very lovely.
Flowers. And the Puyas, you know, these spiky. This is one that after a trip to Chile we came across Puya venusta growing near Vinal del Mar, and we didn't have it in the garden already. It has a 6-foot pink flower spike with a blue fister flower. So really wonderful thing. It never flowered here yet.
But, amazing colour as well, this one, isn't it?
And they don't mind being on this sort of dry mass.
Yeah.
We've obviously built up little pockets of soil by putting an extra level of granite there, but it's very much sitting on top of the base rock otherwise.
Yeah.
And the agaves don't mind.
No.
Just close the gate.
Well, I hope you enjoyed that instalment, and just keep your eyes peeled for when we publish the next instalments of our walk around Tresco Abbey Gardens with head gardener Andrew Lawson. And if you've got anything you'd like to add, put that in the comments. We would love to hear from you. Anyway, thanks for watching. We'll see you in the next video. Goodbye.